Hello guys. Hello again. How are you doing today? We're still going to continue with our Friday lessons. Yes, we are. We're here Friday, and it's time for history. That's right. Yeah, we have a block of history. I know we haven't been seeing classes yet. Here we are, going to enjoy this lesson and learn lots about Romans and when they invade Britain. Wow, okay, so we have our books, which I have it here. I have the book, and you should have a copy attached to this email of the class that we're going to see today. You can also see it on my screen right here. I'm pretty sure you can see it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is discuss. I'm going to show you what's happening at this point in time. We're talking about Romans and when they invade Britain. Now, if we look up here, we have a timeline. So a timeline is a line where I can measure time and I can know what happened when exactly. So if you look up here, it says Romans in Britain, and there's a highlighted part in green. Can you see it? And you have 100 BC, AD 1, AD 100, AD 200. Do you know what that stands for? If you don't know, let me tell you. 100 BC is before Christ, and AD is after death. So that's when we start counting time. The way we count it today, it's been 2020 years since that AD 1. Now, where are we? We are in Rome. It says here, Rome is a city in Italy. We go over here. I'm going to show you. This is a map of Italy. It is located in Europe. All right. Rome is its capital. Okay, it's right there where you can see that the map of Italy. If you look at it sideways, you tilt your head like that, sort of looks like a boot. And it is located in Europe, southeastern Europe. Now we go back here. It says, toward the end of the Iron Age, life in Britain was very different to life in Rome. Rome was more developed than Britain. Now, the Iron Age is a period of time in this highlighted section, all right, where humanity discovered the use of iron, which is a metal, and they started to make all kinds of objects, tools, hammers, and what look like hammers today, made out of iron. And so that period of time is very characteristic in humankind. When we started studying backwards to our ancestors, we discovered this. And so we named it the Iron Age. So back to where we were, we're talking that we are in Rome, very different times from today, over 2,000 years ago. And we're comparing how life was in Rome than to how it was in Great Britain or in Britain at that time. Now, at that time, if you read over here, A Tale of Two Different Lands. At that time, Rome was ruled by a dictator. Now, a dictator is a person who controls the country and has all the power and doesn't ask for anybody's opinion, and nobody has an option but to do what the dictator says. Now, it says, if we continue reading, it had a government which collected taxes. A government is a system of people that govern and rule a country. Collected taxes, which is money that you have to pay the government to do things. And a very organized army. Now, it also had conquered many different countries. There were lots of grand buildings in Rome where people could gather, including temples and public baths. So, for example, over here we have the Colosseum, I have to tell you, this is modern day Colosseum. This is what it looks like today. It's a very ancient structure. We have more pictures. So, for example, this would be an army, very organized army that would go about territories, conquering land. Over here, we have other temples that we find in Rome. Again, this is modern time. These are some other modern temples that we have in Rome. The construction is really, really old. And you can see there all the different details of what it looks like. You see? All right. The Italian flag, of course. Man on the horse, we're going to talk about him later. And move on to the next picture. This is what it looked like many years ago, around the 1800s. But still, these structures are so old, and yet they're there standing. Now, Great Britain over here is in the northwestern side of Europe, okay? This is composed right now of many different countries, okay? The capital of England over here is London, for example. Now, the people in Britain, they were called Celts. Now, Celts is something like this. It's a person. They had different clothes, as you can see. You see that their armor that they had and their tools were made of iron, all right? Now, they lived together in groups called tribes, and they were ruled by a chief. Now, a chief was the most powerful man in that group, in that tribe, okay? Now, they lived in these kinds of places. Right? Do you see how the structure is? Sort of like a village. All of these things were man-made, of course, of different materials that would stand and withhold rain and cold. Not much like we do today. Today we have more technology, but this was a little bit different. Now, these settlements that I just showed you were called hill forts. And sort of look like this. If you look back into the drawing, you can see sort of the same similar thing. There's a ladder going up to the roof. Okay. Now, they didn't have a government. They didn't have an army, and they did not pay taxes. The only buildings that they had where people could gather were places like Stonehenge. Have you heard of Stonehenge? Now, Stonehenge looks something like this. It is a structure made basically of stones. If you look at it from afar, this is one of the global pictures. I'll show you another one. This is broad daylight. This exists in modern times. Okay, it's a very touristic place. And actually, all of those huge stones, to you, they might look a little bit small. If I pass the pictures, this is what it looks like from afar, from probably a helicopter or an airplane, okay? This is what it looks like. It's a really huge structure, okay? If I turn the picture one more time, I'm going to go and put it in original. This is like, do you recognize this man? This is former American President Obama. Now, Obama is standing in this structure. You can see how tall these stones are in comparison to him. Now, in this Stonehenge, people would have feasts, and this is what they would gather around. So they would have, for example, lots of food around big, large tables, baskets, and yes, that is a little pig. They would be eating pig and fruit. So now you have an overall picture about what was happening in Rome and in England right before the Romans invaded. We're talking about many years ago, around AD 50 until AD 400 and a little bit more. Okay, you guys, I hope you have learned a lot in this lesson, and I'll be telling you what to do next in your email. Have a good one.